this is a question for all of you. Like, have you seen a decay in engagement faster because of remote? Because sometimes people don't know what they want or they don't know what they need, and they think they want fully remote. If your company can't necessarily afford to like fly everyone together for a retreat every quarter or bring you into a set of hubs, well, have you got like that? That is the case, right? A lot of people will spout off that and we'll see if it continues. Everyone's remote. They come together once a quarter for a retreat or a trip somewhere in like Colorado, and everyone goes back home again. That might not continue with people tightening the purse strings. Like, have you noticed in the last 2 years a slight decay, like the excitement get in the job and then the decay and the drop off in engagement because they're just not seeing enough of their teammates physically?
Yeah, I'll kick that off. So as a platform that does unified communication, right? Like we live in this, right? And all of our customers are trying to figure this out, including Dialpad. Dialpad during the pandemic just decided we don't care. Live and work where you want. When we started to look at the data, we started to realize that some of the pure remote people nowhere near hubs possibly saw lower engagement. And it wasn't necessarily something horrifying, but it was, for what we're trying to do, what are the things we could do to try and affect it? So what we started to do is we still will hire people remotely, but where we target is, and we, by the end of this year, we'll have 7 hubs in the United States. And we aren't saying, look, you got to live in a hub, you got to go to an office. What we're saying is, look, we're going to target talent there, and we're going to try and build community around a regional area. And if that means going to a WeWork, going to an office occasionally, great, right? But we're not going to really mandate it, and it's going to be somewhat organic. But what we're going to really look closely at is the engagement scores and see how engaged our talent is through that. And we may, the world is changing really quickly right now. We may look at it in a year and say, yeah, that wasn't super successful. But like anything else, right, in the world, especially in the world of technology, you have to kind of make your bet, right? And there's always going to be a second side of it. So I say this just because we're living through that. How should we operate? And it's hard, and no companies have figured it out. And you worry when you tell people to go back to an office, and then people leave, or you tell people that they can be remote, and then they disappear. It's just a difficult thing to navigate through. So most companies have to figure that out. They just have to build their financial models around what's reasonable for what, to your point, builds community, builds culture. And it can't be the office. It can't be, again, an amazing campus in Santa Barbara where everybody has to relocate to. That just isn't work anymore.
The working it out, I think, is the fun bit, right? So you look at what we had. So we all shut down. We all got invited to those virtual happy hours that was like forced fun, quote unquote, right? So today it's we're going to do a pub quiz. Tomorrow we're going to and it sucked, right? And I think we tried, and we realized through engagement, through feedback, that wasn't necessarily scratching the itch that people were looking for. I think there's an investment in our leaders and in our managers to make sure that they can manage remotely effectively. And I always come back to 2 things. One, it's about authenticity. Leading the call with the fake 5-minute check-in about your family beforehand, again, sucks. Do it authentically, and you nail it, right? Like, because it's genuine and it really goes forward. And then I have one slightly inappropriate thing that I talk about a lot with my leaders, which is it's a little bit like being the parent of a divorced family, right? The time that you have together has to be more special than it was before. So it's a little bit about that. You have to be more deliberate. You have to think about that time more, whether it's financially or whether it's content. And then you have to execute on it. And again, we'll look back in a year, and whether it's travel, whether it's hubs, whether it's upskilling managers, we will have, again, got better at what the direction of work is. And I think that's kind of exciting.
Gabriel, how are Axon finding that whole journey? Because I know that before you were Scottsdale HQ, a Seattle engineering hub, like that's gone now, right, as a kind of model?
Well, it's a combination, right? So we've set up our Boston we're starting to kind of like really expand out of our hub. So Boston, the UK, and London is coming online. We'll have a presence in Seattle, we'll have a presence in Scottsdale, 100%. I think where we've really changed our perspective is kind of a question we had earlier tonight too about diverse perspectives. We can appeal to more diverse perspectives if they have a family support and network in Louisiana and they want to stay and work in Louisiana, and that's where they will do their best work. Great, let's meet them where they're at and not make them, hey, you have to be in the office X amount of time, or you need to be in the proximity of here. It's actually a pretty big game changer to think about, hey, how do we find the right people that are going to get this done? At the same time, I don't want to be delusional that this is also a giant social experiment for all of us right now. We have, truly, it is a giant experiment. It's really going to be curious if in 2 years from now, hey, have we actually gone completely back the other way of, nope, we absolutely want to be back in the office and we really want that water cooler, connectivity, and hey, that's how I get, promoted, which is also my point earlier. Like, if we're not thinking about, the equality of how we promote people, regardless of where they sit now, it's going to bite us in 18 months.
Yeah. I think most of us came from, I was remote in 2009. I was remote for 4 years, like fully remote, and had to travel to Europe to HQ, and I was miserable. I did not enjoy being fully remote for 4 years. I think the optionality is the piece, right? And optionality to be able to go in when you feel like you need to, and then pull back because you're maybe like I get distracted heavily, so I love my 2 days from home. But I think like it's a very personal thing.